All right, ready? All right, welcome to the late night par. You know what I mean? We're there once again. Before we dive too deep, we want to know that this is a special episode of Late Night Par.
A one par.
It's called a one par.
You know? Pilot episode.
I like that.
Par episode of exactly. A one par is a special episode where we don't necessarily go into pop culture or current affairs, but we're kind of doing a little bit more focused discussion around particular people, kind of a little bit more interview style. So you might not see all of our normal hosts today. You might see me and Congo, you might see Sash and Congo, you might see Rush and Sash. It can be any variable, but it's just kind of different.
So, switch it up.
Yeah, we'll switch it up a little so we can give you some evergreen content. Yeah. So let's just dive right in to like the late night part right now. Before we introduce our host, let's introduce our guest. The lovely Rivas is here with us right now. Tour manager extraordinaire. You know what I mean? For many names that we're going to get into shortly. But let's just introduce our host so you know everybody who's talking on the podcast. You don't know it's me already. The big mouth, the loud mouth guy. Loud mouth himself.
Loud mouth shooter.
Yanni Creed, a.k.a. at
Creative genius.
All right. I'll take it. At the therapist SOL. And we'll have the second lady of the park.
Second.
Hey, St. Thomas Goody.
Hey.
Whoa.
You're welcome.
Hey. We need an AKA. Anyway, you don't know it's Congo at Heatwave Fatalic.
You don't know AKA supplement boss. So right now we have the Soca supplement cups. So right now, alright, so we got the supplement cups. So right now we're gonna dive right in because we don't want to waste no time. We're here with Rivas. You know, everybody who's watching here is Jamaican, so we're just gonna get the rating out of the way. You know, she tour manages for Chronixx and many other people, but people go, oh, she tour manages for Chronixx, so now we have your attention, so we're gonna dive in properly now.
Sweet.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Before we get too deep, we want to know, you're there a couple times now, Alex. You're not a tourist anymore.
A few times. I'm a local.
Yeah, you're a local
Right.
now. So I want to know, before we get into no tour talk or none of them things there, where the baddest restaurant in Jamaica right now?
Yes.
Shit.
Yeah. You can
I have to say,
three.
honestly, I have to say it's where I stay.
Plug.
That's a good one.
That's one of our cop-outs.
Plug.
Honestly, no, like eating in people's homes are my favorite. Like
Fair.
some Sunday dinner stuff.
Why?
Like,
Yo.
and
Why is?
I love and who I stay with, Leah, our restaurant. We just went there today, Tamarind. Was that Ligony?
They're
Indiana?
Yeah.
multiple.
By Pete, and shout out to Peter Girl at 2 a.m.
Yo, she's a local dog. She just ring it
She say,
off.
y'all do it.
No dog, no man. She said Peter Girl at 2. That's like an uptown staple.
Hey. But like, and then like on some tourist vibes, Screechies is always good too.
Oh, man, Screechies.
I like Screechies.
All right. You say him out. Travis, you know about Screechies? All right, Travis knows about Screechies.
Yeah, that's like a group dinner vibe.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Those are some. From your first, she start off, she say yard. From she say yard, you know.
A cop-out answer still.
Yeah.
You're right though. You're right though.
Smart.
She says Sunday dinner specifically.
Exactly. No.
Someone loves a Sunday
You know the Shreps dog.
Yeah. You know what's
I
going
know.
on.
I'm in the cut. I know.
That's excellent. Dope. So alright. So this visit now, how you been doing it? You know, just town or beaches or?
It's a little bit of both. I live by the beach at home, so like the water is probably the most important thing to me next to like family and friends.
Oh, nice.
So like I'm a Cancer, so like it's really important to me that I swim, and we'll like whether it's people I work with or friends or whoever who I'm staying with or whatever, like wake up in the morning and go for a swim. And it's been raining though, so I've only gone like 3 times since I've been here.
Yeah.
Usually it's like every other morning I'm swimming, and then I go to like the Chronixx office or I go have meetings or whatever. But that's kind of like my routine in general, like at home, whether it's in a pool or the ocean.
Yeah.
but here, yeah, I try to take full advantage of
the
that flow.
coastline.
Yeah, I try to make that. I try to get in a groove here. Try to be like kind of not 9 to 5, but I try to have a schedule. Try to have structure
And leave some space for the water.
And I'll come for like a month at a time. Every few months I'll come for a month at a time, and then dip out and then come back. And yeah.
How the beach is here? Good.
Oh, the water is amazing. I swim in the Pacific Ocean where there's sharks and cold and yeah, like.
So we're going with something.
Yeah, I have to have someone like on the sand watching the water while I swim at home because there's been like crazy shark breaches and stuff. So
for real?
yeah, I have to. It's
That's
kind
crazy.
of intense. Here it's
just-
like
just-
really peaceful.
a little bit.
My spot is Bob Marley Beach. I love swimming there, or Frenchman's Cove is my favorite too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for a quickie, it's Bob Marley
We're
Beach.
actually making sure that you don't miss that Frenchman's Cove part.
No,
So-
yeah. I mean, it was so cool. The last time I came here was earlier this spring. I came for almost 2 months, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I was a part of Shama, the surfer, his that Hurley short film that came out.
Yeah.
I helped like work that shoot, and one of the mornings we had to stay at Frenchman's Cove, and Kita, his sister, and I, Kita the artist,
Yeah.
we woke up at it was like 7, 8 a.m. and we are the only ones at Frenchman's Cove
Dope.
swimming there, and it was
Crazy.
like, wow, this is so crazy. I'm used to like hundreds of people at the beach.
Yeah, that's like
it
it's
was
mad crowded. So
it was the best thing ever. So yeah.
That's dope. You know, so as you say, you know, you've been here a couple times and you're here regularly. We want to know, like, as an outsider looking in, but no, you're an insider. But
I'm an outsider still, kind of.
What are some of like the unexpected things that, you know, like working and living in Jamaica that you know, like have access to?
I don't want to get in
Tell us
trouble.
the gripes about Jamaica. Let's see how Jamaican you are.
Don't say bad
driving.
customer service. Oh, the
The
driving.
driving.
Oh, she said traffic. Oh, I told it.
And I'm from like land of of traffic, like, but
You're from LA, right? I don't know if you mentioned that specifically.
yeah, I
You're
live
from
like
LA.
30-40 minutes south of LA, but it's still LA. Like I'm in LA every other day, like, you know. But yeah, I would say the driving, the potholes. It's literally like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Like
Perfect way to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Just dropping into a pothole. You definitely
yeah.
you up.
like-
it is insane, but I don't know, like I love Jamaica though. Like I've traveled ever since I was little, so I think I'm a tad different because I can adapt really quickly because of what I do. I'm thrown in, like, one day I'm in Ghana, the next day I'm in Paris, the next day I'm home, so like I have to kind of just adapt.
You're good at, like, just adapting
Yeah.
and not really being too
That's
prickly
part of
about
like
it.
I think that's part of the attraction though that people have here, like the real people that come to, you know, they don't vacation at Sandals.
Yeah.
They come to Kingston and they love seeing the hustle and
I
bustle.
love to dodge potholes. We hate that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't know, like that, and just how everything's closed on Sundays kind of drives me nuts too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yo, banks for them open on Sunday, Saturday and Sunday.
You don't
and
think
closes
like
at
as a
5.
Jamaican, you just
Cannot
like,
do
well,
it.
yo, Sunday, as you say, yo, you wake up late on Sunday, unless
Right.
you are cook. If you are cook, you wake up early.
Right.
You cook, you eat, knock out.
Bed.
Yeah, but some
Not
days
bad, but you see me like you're just kind of done for the day.
Yeah,
but
man.
sometimes Sundays is the day that I don't want to cook and I want to eat out, and then everything's closed. It's just like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah, that's culture.
yeah.
That's the
Cameron
difference
is
in culture.
open
for
still
it.
though, so.
Cameron is open.
That's
Link up
true.
at
That's
Cameron.
true.
That's a Sunday I have to eat at home. Sunday dinner.
Or
you know?
or join like a long ass line at KFC.
Oh.
Do you like Jamaican KFC?
Yeah, it's the best.
Oh,
Yo, you know what I'm gonna eat chicken.
Barbecue zingers, I love. Best. Sorry. You need like a KFC sponsorship now.
Yo.
Yeah.
we're going to RTD.
Travis, what you say about the
tomorrow
KFC
with Alex.
sponsorship? Travis said no.
It reminds me, no, but it reminds me of like we have In-N-Out in the burger place
Ooh,
in California.
legendary.
Yeah, so that's the place that always has the long lines like KFC.
I never get it because it's drive-through only, right?
No, you could eat there, but it's like only a few tables that you could eat. Yeah, it's like very old school
and there are many
style.
Like 4 things. There's no custom anything.
Do you like In-N-Out? Do you eat beef?
Yeah, I've kind of stopped eating beef. Like I only stick to like chicken sometimes, and mostly seafood is what I do.
Right away.
But yeah, like once in a while, I'm Mexican and Spanish, so like beef is kind of like grandma's cooking, is sometimes it's too tempting, but I don't do it as often though. Like, why am I working out and then I'm going around and then turning around and eating beef?
All right, so the
Sasha can tell you that she's a brand.
I'm a fake vegan.
She's a brand new vegan.
like a 2 weeks old vegan.
I will eat.
You're a bona fide vegetarian.
And then I stay in my bed early in the morning and I search Instagram for meat pics, and I'm like, but then I only eat non-meat.
But I'm I'm picky though of what I like. I'm picky. I just won't eat any beef. Like,
Right.
In-N-Out, like
that was the question. Do you fuck with In-N-Out?
they're kind of they're kind of picky though, like on where they source their beef and stuff like that. If you're comparing that to like McDonald's, go with
100%.
In-N-Out. Yeah.
All right. Nice. Okay. Dope. So, all right. I heard you mention that you've been coming to Jamaica for like a long time, because I already wanted to ask, when did you first come to Jamaica? Did you already know?
I think it's a couple years. No, I didn't come before I worked with Jamar or Chronixx. If you hear me refer to Jamar, that's Chronixx.
I think you should tell them.
Yeah.
We know.
But yeah, not until I started really working with him that it was like, okay, you need to come to Jamaica to kind of have meetings and stuff. Because most of the people I work with are in LA or New York. Yeah. So I just either fly to New York for a rehearsal or whatever, or I'm just in LA, and so this was a little different. And just because I do like a tad bit more than tour management for him, that it's really crucial that I'm physically here sometimes for preparation of shows or projects. Yeah. So yeah, but I came, I don't know, Leah, when did I start coming? I came maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago almost. Yeah. And
since the 90s?
No, 17.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
They came in 2017 because I don't know if they can hear.
Yeah. I don't know exactly when, but yeah. And then I'll come for like the first time. I'm like, okay, I'm just coming for 2 weeks, and then I stayed a month because I liked it.
Nice.
But I've kind of always, since I've been in music, I've kind of always had a Jamaica kind of connection, because working with Miss Hill, her kids and her, a lot of her family is Jamaican. So and a lot of her band and crew are Jamaican. So, and her like her personal home staff, she has like a Jamaican nanny and caretaker. So I've always, I've known about the food and like been a part of that family kind of. So yeah, like I was really, familiar with everything coming. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, you're working with Chronixx and everything was like brand new. I already knew kind of like, I understood patois and everything.
A Jamaica starter pack.
Yeah. What would be the Jamaican starter pack?
Mesh Marina.
I feel like that's so like, that's like
the belts.
A lighter.
A lighter.
No. You sound like Kamala.
How they wear the belts? Like, you guys wear the belts hanging.
Yeah, the belts hanging out.
That's all
The
90s.
little Okapai knife.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A tam.
A 3-star.
3-star.
A tam.
Yeah.
A tam.
No.
That's like a
also
Jamaican
the
rice.
You need the knife.
Yeah.
A knife.
Ganja.
No.
You need the grabba. And you need the raw paper.
Like,
And from you have all of that, right?
Campari.
You'll be alright. You need phone credit.
Digital prepaid.
She said, don't even need phone credit. The starter pack.
I feel like Jamaica, that just shows that Jamaicans are so diverse.
100%.
Like, I feel like anything that you pick going to be like mad cliche.
Yes.
No, but our Jamaica starter pack is gonna be like the Uptown Youth
Yo,
starter pack.
pizza girl at 2 o'clock. Saying them not going to Ireland, so can go in anyway.
you know you've been at Pita Girl at 2 a.m.
Sadly.
It's like in an uptown startup act. Middle class startup act.
Country girl startup.
Country girl startup. Country girl business.
Yeah, taxi fare.
I fired Peter Girl.
Thank you, sis.
Oh, ass with a little
Sash.
Yes, sis. Yes, sis.
Alright.
Leah, we've gone to Pita. I'm hurt.
The line is too long.
I know.
And even at 2 a.m, you're like, you walk out and you're like, it's 5.
Yo, I'm gonna try.
Yo,
That's everybody
yo.
leaving from the party. Everybody
that's the
leaves
thing,
from the like,
isn't it?
BK. We don't go BK.
Yeah.
I have a story about Island Girl a couple weeks ago.
Okay, sis.
Tell it.
So it was Daddy Barnes, Chronixx's manager, me, Keita, Woodrow was there, and Saffron Parker, who we all know, creative
First
director.
name, last name.
Yeah. I can shout them out. No.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad story. And we're like, oh, let's go to Uptown Mondays. Like, yeah, randomly. And we go,
Randomly.
it's like not even 1:30. I'm like this pouring a drink.
Yeah.
Cops roll in. These 3 lady cops roll in.
Tell you, bro.
Shut down. So then we're like, okay, let's go to Island Girl. And there was no food at Island Girl because they weren't thinking we were gonna come at 1:30. They were like on their lunch break.
Yo, I want to talk about Island Grill now. Come on, yo, Island Grill closes at 4, you see me? I went to Island Grill.
Bless their heart.
At 3:15. I'm saying, yo, only a fish sandwich. I was like, all right, cool. Then I go build some more food. It just I go take long. Brother, people walking after me and just say, food done. Food done. When I have no food, I'm like, bro, you close at 4. Like, if you close at 4, you can't run out of food at 3:15.
Them want go home now. Them want lock up that. But yeah. But it's funny that you mentioned that because we've been internally trying to even like curate an episode around talking about the Noise Abatement Act coming soon. Yeah. So exactly, we have like we're not fans of it either. So that's like you talking about that like firsthand is just like a reminder. Say, yo, we like need to sort this thing
That's
out.
a part of the adjustment to culture too. That
That
I
you
remember.
had to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with it because it's just I kind of have to naturally go with the flow, and I'm like, okay, what are we doing now? Like, fine. But people, I was looking at some of the tourists there who spend their hard-earned money to come to Jamaica and go to a dance, and they were just walking in, and that's like
At what time again? You said
1:30.
it was literally like 1:29, and
Yeah.
dressed up, matching T-shirts and all,
Yeah.
like.
Monday, right.
Yeah.
And it gets shut down early like that. That's a serious issue for the actual income of Jamaica. Like, because keep it real, that's
No
the main
drinks were
export
bought.
of music. You feel
Yeah.
me? So if you have your own government blocking your own main export,
Right.
then what's happening there? You feel me? Like, that's a problem.
for sure.
And everyone overseas
Yes.
Yeah.
who know and they're watching.
Oh yeah, there's Instagram pages, there's online reports, there's all of that. Yeah.
They love Jamaica, but they can't come here. You feel me? And they keep tabs on Jamaica, and they watch the news, and they know what's going on here. They have people here, so even before it even go on the news, people know what's going on. You feel me? But for something like that, it's stopping a lot of people's income. You feel me? Like that's stopping feeding kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many people can have the
Yeah.
chicken man, you have the taxi, you have people at Island Grill, like just the whole.
As I said, we're planning to do a whole topic around it, but I think really, as you say, it's kind of culture. I mean, time isn't real.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
what I
5
mean?
episodes.
Like time isn't real. So like the fact that we say, oh, like we just got like parties ending at 4 became like part of our culture. I think personally, it's kind of a problem because people work in that area that don't go to the parties.
Yeah.
You see me?
Yeah.
So if you have a job that starts at 8 and you have to wake up at 6 to get ready, and party I go till 6 till 4. That's like 2 hours of peace and quiet to sleep.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
like the government needs to do more to facilitate something that's a big part of our
People
society.
bring
which is a culture.
their
like,
latest
parties and
music, and like a manager will be there and play that latest song.
Yes.
And that's what Barnes and I were talking about that night. Like, what if we had one of the new songs and we wanted to play it and then it got shut down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Problems that
You know, no one would have heard it. Like, you know, so
Definitely.
yeah.
So it's a whole dynamic.
It's a whole 10 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But yeah, so we want to talk some more about you. You know what I mean? Like, we know you didn't start off as tour manager extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we
No
had-
one starts off
you know,
like that.
I'm the only person here who, you know, I know Alex off camera a little
Yeah.
bit, you know. So we know say everybody here knows say as a tour manager, but just let's acquaint the people and the audiences with how you got started in the music industry.
Well, honestly, I wanted to be in film and television. Like, that's what I really, really like as a young, you know, little girl in LA and stuff. And I knew I wanted to do something in entertainment. And then just right when I was in like junior high school, I really got into like research mode because no one in my family is really in entertainment. I have like a couple second cousins and stuff that are like creative directors, but they're more for like brands and stuff, surf and skate brands and stuff. But yeah, I just was really fascinated by like writing and producing for television and movies. So I was just kind of like out there, like putting myself out there online, and when LinkedIn and emailing and all that stuff really became really popular, a way to get jobs.
Yeah.
I
LinkedIn.
seriously, I got linked up with the executive producer of the show that Demi Lovato was on, the Disney show, and I was like a junior in high school. And I was shadowing him and like getting mentored by him. But once I started doing that, I discovered that I didn't like television writing and producing because the schedule is very 9 to 5. It's actually more rigorous than that. You have to go to writing, you know, you have writers' rooms, and you have to, if it's a live audience taping, you're there for hours with the live audience and all the actors on set and stuff. And I was like, this is kind of, I don't know, like I want a little more adventure to this than just going to a studio in LA, you know, every day.
Yeah, you're pretty much just they're on the same schedule.
So question, you grew up in LA?
I grew up in LA.
Oh, cool. I feel like people kind of just assume, oh, you moved to LA because you're in,
Yes.
yeah,
No,
because you're in the music
like I've
business.
always lived in like greater Los Angeles, like kind of inland, but it's like where like Chino Hills area is, which is like 30-40 minutes southeast of LA. But like going to LA, you can go every day. Like you just hop on the highway and go. So it was really easy for me to go to the tapings and stuff. But yeah, I was really young, already networking. Like I think I always had the drive, and you know. And my parents were they weren't hesitant. They were kind of like, okay, as long as you get good grades and you play sports and you don't talk back to us, then you could do it. Like, yeah. And I'm the oldest of 3, so I think I was my parents were still kind of in guinea pig mode with me. Like, okay, this is our oldest, and we kind of don't know where she's gonna, like, we're just gonna kind of let her find her path and stuff.
So thankfully, you had open-minded parents.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't thrilled about it when I was like, I want to go in entertainment. They were like, what the fuck? Like, what?
You're like, yeah, you come from like a family like
yeah,
Suits.
I didn't have like a family of like directors, you know? So, yeah, but they were just, I was driven enough to do it. So they were, you know, letting me do it. So then a little bit after high school, I started taking, like at my 2-year college, I still for some reason went and took film classes. And I actually really liked them, even though I still didn't want to be in film. I just took, like, there were no music management classes, so I still took film and television production.
So were you aware
'Cause I was
of like
told that-
being interested in music at that time?
Well, I was told that like those classes still kind of have a lot of the same curriculum and like, you know, TV production. I used a lot, honestly, of what some of those professors taught me. And what I do today as far as like the admin and the back end work and just handling the schedule and knowing the different personalities that you work with and stuff like that. So yeah, so I did that, and then I had a friend that I met through the Disney show thing, and she started working for a record label. I think it was like Simon Cowell's record label or something random.
Very random.
And she was saying that she loved it, and she was kind of like me, like wanting to find something else in entertainment. And she's like, you should pursue music. I think you'll like it. But I was like, I don't want to work for a label. That's even more officey than a show. So I started just kind of, by then I had kind of something I can put on my resume and kind of beef it up a little bit, but you know, still, I still had something on there that people can kind of, that would catch people's attention. Yeah. And I just would like come home and email a bunch of people all the time, and just, but that's also something too. Like I'd stay up till 3-4 o'clock in the morning emailing researching different managers and record labels and stuff. And finally Santana's video director, he said, okay, like, yeah, I welcome interns. Like if you really want to do it, we're in Vegas doing a residency for a couple weeks, and then we take off again on a tour. So if you want to come, you got to come. So I like, Mom, you gotta like come with me to Vegas. But Vegas is close. It's only like a 4-hour drive or like a 40-minute flight.
Close for America.
Yo, that is close though, because I mean,
that's close. Like if I hop on a plane,
4 hours
drive.
Yo, quick clarification. She said Santana, not Jules Santana.
Carlos
Santana.
Black magic woman. Yeah.
So this wasn't no fun job. I mean, not like no kid would be like, hey, Carlos. Well,
no, but it was
weird
weird
Carlos Santana?
Yeah, I grew up listening to like the soundtrack that I remember as a kid was Sade, Earth, Wind and Fire, and Supernatural. All
right. Well,
so like I was like, okay, like whoa, like Smooth, Maria. Yeah. No, but I knew his old stuff, like my family and both of my parents, like at pool parties on the weekend. I always remember Supernatural playing in the background.
Nice.
But that's kind of what drew me to like go, because I'm like, okay, I already know the music. So if I get thrown into this, I'm cool. Like I know the music. And I begged my mom, and she's like, all right, fine, I'm coming though. Like don't take anyone else. I'm going to come. So like literally like 4 or 5 days later, we're in Vegas, and I linked up with his name's Bob Higgins. He still works with Santana. And he ran through the show. This was video though. This wasn't road management. This was me doing visual work, because that's what originally I wanted to do. Coming from like film inspiration and stuff.
So for everybody watching, that's like, when you go a show and you have the screen,
the live content.
The background,
the live
visuals
content
that, like sync up with the show. So
it was live feed. I was triggering the live content.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm sorry. I was triggering the video content in between the live feed cameras.
Okay, nice.
And he had like a lot of archival footage from Woodstock and like Maria videos and stuff like that. So I'd have to so I just got the show ran through real quick, did sound check, went to dinner in the casino, and then did the show. And I did like decent enough where they gave me like the laminate, the all access pass, and Bob was like, all right, keep it, because the door is always open now. And
nice.
On spring breaks and stuff, I would just go, and I was working at a gym. And I would just save my money, and like on spring breaks or whenever I'd get like a weekend off, I'd go to Vegas. And it was easy to get people to go with me, because that was the thing. My mom was like, you can't go by yourself. So try to take someone. I wasn't even 21. That's why she was like, you can't go by yourself. You're going to Vegas.
It's some boring place.
But it was awesome though, because I'd low key use my all access pass to get like drinks and stuff from the bars, and the bartenders
Allegedly.
at House of Blues and stuff started knowing me because I was like the random girl that was working with Santana.
You come in like 2 years later, like, I'm 21 now.
But it was the best experience. I'm still super cool with those guys.
So
Nice.
how long were you doing
I still
that?
go to the shows. That was like almost 2 years.
Okay, cool.
But in between that, I met other tour managers. either through the band and crew or just other networking. I was continuing to network and stuff, go to other shows in LA. And another mentor of mine was Don Mooskies, and he was the tour manager for Natalie Cole up until she passed. And I did a lot of like shadowing work with him, helping him and stuff. And then I later turned that into a legitimate gig where he hired me for Alanis Morissette as assistant tour manager for a while. So yeah, like that. Yeah, it was weird, but it was just, it's weird listing it out because I started really young with a lot of older legendary musicians. Another mentor of mine was Terry Finley, and he was a tour manager for Chicago, the band. Whoa. And that was like another person that I would shadow and stuff like that.
Crazy experience all before 20.
And I was such a music geek. Like I listened to all the 70s stuff. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, Oya Kamava.
Did you ever tell your friends they're like, okay,
Natalie Cole. Cool. Like I geeked out on Miss Natalie. Like she was the epitome of a legend. Like I remember being in... Oh my gosh, like in San Francisco, I was at this show she did with a symphony orchestra, and she had just come out with a Spanish album. So she was singing a lot of her stuff in Spanish perfectly. Like it was crazy. And then after those kind of stints, my legitimate gig was getting hired for Will.i.am.
Nice.
From the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
And the tour manager was a woman and her assistant was a girl, a woman. And that's where I was like, okay, I want to be a tour manager. Because she was like, they were both like badass.
They saw just two women
running an 80-person tour. Like we were in a movie soundstage doing rehearsals, and they were just running everything. He had like robots and stuff on stage, and because it was at the height of his solo career.
Yeah.
And I was just like the little production assistant getting like 100 hamburgers for them, or like going to the Apple store and getting like 5 computers for them, and like just all this stuff.
Is that real stuff you're talking about right now?
Yeah.
100
Yeah.
It's just not an abstract number.
No.
You're talking about
like 100 hamburgers one night at like midnight. Like, hi, can I get 100 hamburgers and fries?
So do they look at you crazy? So
And
you
they were
pull up
like, can you pull around? Like they didn't believe me because I was in the drive-thru, and they were like, can you come back in an hour? Like we're not gonna have this ready right now.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Wait in the parking.
And I miss those days now, though. Sometimes I see my runners and assistants, and I'm like, dang, like I want to be a runner. It was fun. It was fun, like driving around, like.
You said that was like the easy stuff. Dope.
But I would say the Will.i.am gig is what made me wanna
Really trigger the
become a road manager, because
so probably without seeing those two tour managers, like maybe that like idea might not have directly popped into your head.
Yeah, they just. I still do a lot of stuff they did as a tour manager. Like I feel like I'm like a recipe of all of those ones that I worked with. Like I do a little bit of each.
So you take something from all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Talking about tour managers.
I know. Yeah.
Who's the most gangster, most
So
with them all.
And that's where I met you.
Who's your sensei?
That's where I met you. My guru tour manager is this guy named Doug Hobson, who he sadly is not here anymore. Yeah. But I would say that's where I got, he was one of the ones I networked with early on. Yeah. I mean, he was this white guy from Richmond, Virginia, and he wore like faded acid wash jeans and Converse and like just total rocker dude. And he was considered probably in like the top 5, top 10 of tour managers. He did like Prince for a long time. He had known Miss Hill since she was really young, like in the Fugees, and he did Drake and Lil Wayne tour and 50 Cent. He did Jill Scott for like 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, he did Guns N' Roses, Maroon 5, like so many people. Yeah. Yeah. He did a lot of hip hop though. He was really known for hip hop. His email was Money Man Doug because he was he was the one white guy that held all the money for like 50 Cent and stuff. And the stories, I can't even
Big up money, man.
publicly say the stories. I
Big
know.
up money, man.
His money stories. No, they're still NDAs. Those NDAs are still on file. No, but like I'm not supposed to know those stories.
We got classified stuff
Yeah.
here.
His Prince stories are epic though. Like all this, he told me this one time they did a tour where they would be loading in for the day at that venue, and that morning they would announce the show, and by showtime it would be sold out. And that's how they did a whole tour.
Crazy.
And just like all kinds of stuff like that, surprise guests and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, but so I had done a lot of one-off stuff, and then like a lot of West Coast runs, because it was like you're too young to go on a full-fledged international tour.
Who's saying that? Your parents?
No, just like the other tour managers. Like, you know, sometimes I have that still where I only let someone work an LA show with me, but I don't take them to Africa with, you know, or something.
Yeah, that makes sense, to be honest.
Yeah,
It
you're
is a different ball
you're
game.
still training them too, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how it was. And then I was working at this really known venue in LA called the Observatory.
Yeah.
It's like a 1,000 cap room that's got like, it's kind of legendary. They started a lot of careers. Kendrick Lamar, Anderson .Paak, a lot of people. And Yannick's been there with Proto and stuff.
Nice venue.
And so I was working there as like production assistant, and I thought, okay, I'm cool for a while. Like I'm working a lot of shows. I'm doing 4 or 5 shows a week. I'm meeting a lot of people. I'm cool. And then he called me. I was coming out of the gym one night, and he called me, and he was like, I just started working with Lauryn Hill, and I need you to come and be my assistant on this tour. And I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't know about this.
You were comfy.
10 minutes.
Yeah, I was like,
Like, damn, imagine, fam.
like killing me softly, Lauryn Hill, like Sister Act Lauryn Hill. And he's like, yeah, I need you. Like he was doing tour management, production management, and accounting, because he was also known for being a top tour accountant.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I really need your help on this tour. I think with the band and crew, your vibe will do really well with this tour. And I think working with her, you know, you guys will do good too. And I'm like, I don't know, like, you know. And I said, see how serious it is first before I get like, you know, give me more details.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, you'd come on the road and you'd be gone all year, because she has like a full-blown year tour locked in. And I'm like, okay, well, that's okay. I like the sound of that. That's kind of cool. That's a dope opportunity. And then he said, look, I'll tell you this, like, we're coming to LA soon. So just wait a couple weeks, to work the LA show, stay in the hotel with us for the weekend, and then let's see how you vibe with everyone and you do at the LA show. Because LA shows are crazy. So that's a good show to work. Because there's
Like
celebrity guests.
It doesn't get
and all-
much crazier than that.
Wait, hold on. For those of us that don't tour extensively, such as you and our friend Yannick,
Let me step back.
what's so crazy about LA shows?
Just the guests. Like, you'll have...
Oh, because
Like,
people tend to be in
You'll
LA.
just the guest list is like the backstage list of like the Grammys or something.
Oh, word.
Like, you know, it's really crazy. You'll have just all kinds of celebrities and people, you know, big time managers and agents there.
Yeah,
and
everybody wants to come, you know?
and they all want to bring 5 people with them. So, you know, everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And everyone wants their security with them. Everyone wants to be in the front row or the balcony, all that. So it's a good show. And so I did the show. I did the LA show, and like, you know, the band and crew were like still best friends till this day. Like, we became really close. And the show was a really good show, I remember. And I didn't really meet Miss Hill that night. We kind of saw each other in the hallway. Like, I know who you are, and you know who I am. But she had a lot of people that, you know, she always has all her old time friends and stuff there. So, it was kind of weird, like just we didn't get to, nowadays I'm always
wasn't
like
like a
talking to the artists and stuff right away.
Alright.
And I was such a little newbie that it was, I kind of was staying in the shadows a little bit, trying to be respectful of her space.
You're
and
trying to be a groupie.
yeah, I was just not a groupie.
I'm just here. I'm just here to do my job.
I'm trying to do my job and keep my head down. And
But no one wants to be that guy though, because I feel like. Me personally,
No,
I feel like I know that
Some
artists
people want to be that guy.
Well, those people suck.
now, like if I have an assistant now helping me, I'm always the first thing I do is take them to the artist and say like, "Hey, this is my assistant who's working with me,
okay.
Jamar. Hey, this is so and so who's working with me today. They can approve anything or speak on my behalf, help you or whatever." But yeah, I don't know. Like Doug came from a very old school world too, so he was just like, "Keep your head down, do your work, and I'll get you on the tour somehow." So I was like, "Okay," and and then I remember like a few days they did the LA show and then they flew straight to Australia and I couldn't get a visa in time, I remember. So I stayed back and I remember he called me at the airport and he goes, "Miss Hill's asking where you're at." Like he was cracking up, like saying she's asking where you're at, like she was looking for you right now. And I said, "Okay, does that mean?" He's like, "Yeah, I think you're good. You're good."
Yeah.
So then, when they came back, probably another couple weeks later, I flew to the East Coast and to New Jersey and started working. Started the tour, and I stayed with her that entire year until like December.
Nice.
And that was really the like pinnacle point of my life. She like made me road manager and she changed my life for sure. Yeah.
So you eventually took over as her actual tour manager and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like you're basically like you're 21 and you're tour managing like all of these people who could be like you, like parents.
Well, I took over as her road manager because Doug was still there and someone else had been taken off the tour, and I became the band road manager. That was, and sometimes they have tour managers who's like overseeing everything, and they have someone else right under that tour manager that's kind of moving and doing all the. Doug was giving me all the information he had coordinated, and I was taking it and running with it, telling people schedules and stuff.
Okay.
Just because he had so much to do, I was kind of the face of the production office.
Okay,
and it was like, if you really need to talk to him, then okay, I'll tell him. But he just had, he was money man Doug, so he had so much to deal with.
But you're still giving out the orders.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because I would be there like messaging Miss Hill like, "Okay, you need to leave tomorrow at this time," or whatever. And it was funny because it was like, I could be like her kid.
Yeah.
Like, telling her, and I respected her so much. Like she's an amazing artist and stuff, and what I respect about her is that it's cool that not everyone can work with her. And I don't mean like in a bad way. I just mean she's just, a certain type of artist. Like it's intense, like in a good way.
Yeah.
In a spiritual way, in an energy way. Yeah. And that's why her team, you've been on the tour, you've seen how great her team is and stuff.
Really close knit.
Yeah.
And
Like
you can't run in. You can't just do like one thing and like body up. You gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta.
I mean, if I called any of them from that period right now, if I needed if I had like a 911 call, and I called any of them, they would pick up, and
That's dope.
some of them live here and stuff, so, as and stuff. So, and still to this day, I work with Miss Hill sometimes. I just don't do road stuff with her anymore because after that period of time, I started getting hit up by younger artists wanting to hire me. So I was kind of like, all right, I'm going to go explore working with young artists. And, it was like a heavy moment, but it was really cool. Like, after Miss Hill, I went and worked with Jhené Aiko. That was the first artist I worked with. Then we did the Forest Hills Drive tour with J. Cole. And
he's a big J. Cole fan.
Yes.
Hold it back.
Favorite. He's my favorite. That whole crew, the whole Dreamville squad, I learned a lot off of too. A lot of them were his like college homies, but they are so smart, and that's why they are where they are now, because they all work very well collectively.
that,
And he has bars. Yeah.
no, I think that would be interesting though, because well, I would assume that most of the people working with Lauryn Hill were kind of older, and
They were, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
moved to a tour where
I'm still, I
mean-
think, one of the youngest in that circle. I think I'm
as
the
in with the
youngest.
Dreamville guys as well, or
No, well, I didn't work, like I wasn't hired by
Yeah, yeah,
Dreamville.
yeah, but you're
Janae
probably come in
was
contact
on the
with them,
tour, but yeah, I had to work with Dreamville on that tour, and that was such an intense time because it was Forest Hills Drive. It
yeah,
was
which is
like
a big thing.
crazy. It was the coolest tour. But yeah, like his team is so on point. I always use them like in meetings with the Chronixx team and stuff. I always kind of pull Dreamville like references and stuff because I just think they're
The age
such a
group
great
kind of
model.
thing, and
Yeah.
they kind of have like a family vibe as well, I think.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
for
within
sure,
their
for
group.
sure. And that's kind of like how I work, and like with Chronixx now, that's kind of how we work too. And like even though I'm not from way back when Zinc Fence and all those guys started,
Like day zero. That's
yeah,
day one,
it's
bro.
important for me though to have like my security blankets, like how Jamar kind of has his guys on stage and stuff. The crew I hire, I pull from Miss Hill's team, and I pull from different people, you know. So sometimes the artists are like, "Why are you taking my stage manager?" But like, it's important I have
People that
those
you
same,
trust.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Yeah. That's important in like the long game of stuff, you know, like knowing that you can like trust people, and like people think sometimes it's like you can just kind of run up on anybody's job. And
No.
you're like, yeah, like I'm a good tour manager, but it's not just
No,
tour
I've-
managing. It's
I
like,
worked with.
it's the relationship.
Cannot name names right now, but I worked with this tour manager, couple tour managers who had all the degrees in the world. They were on paper star student,
Yeah.
and I could not for the life of me work with them. It was to the point where I was like calling my mom, like saying like, I
Damn.
want to leave, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home.
That's
But it was
crazy.
like I had to, because of the artist it was and stuff. I was like, okay, I just need this on my resume, and then after that I could work with, I could
Anybody.
go and get whatever I want and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like Leah is sometimes that person too. I call if I have a rough day or whatever. Like I have those certain friends where I'll call like, yo, today was like, like, and that's the thing about like when I'm here in Jamaica, and you know, just what I see from, I guess, an outsider's perspective, like just put your phones down and work. Like, what do you
Yeah. For everybody who's just listening to the pod,
sorry, not you.
Sashania got caught. She got caught in the bar.
Sasha literally just took up her phone.
You need your phone. Some of us need our phones
Yeah,
to work.
yeah.
But I mean, the whole like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
The whole selfie.
something's going on stage that's technically wrong, and there's the tour manager, like, you know, and it's like,
Yeah, man,
come
we're all
on.
Yeah,
here,
outside,
you know?
we're outside.
Yeah, and
Working, not working, you know?
people were kind of, when I did some one-off shows with Chronixx, and then the first full-fledged tour we did was the Chronology tour before the Chronology album came out, and it was the tour with like Jesse, Janai, Calissa, Max, like all those
Big
people.
Rasta.
Yeah. And yeah, literally, they'd look at me like eating chicken fingers at night, like, what are you doing? John, I would walk by my production office like,
You have to tell them, yo, fall fit dead. Chicken off it
Nine
dead.
would literally bring me like teas and juices, like here, Rivas, eat, drink this, yeah,
Cleanse out.
yeah. Saging my office and stuff. Yeah, humble me. No, but that they were kind of like not necessarily the artists, but like just the guests that would come, or like the guests of artists that would be backstage. They'd be kind of weirded out because I'd just be in my production office like, on the computer during a show,
And they're not used to that.
and they're like, "Why are you not on the side of the stage, like
other things to
taking
do.
photos and stuff?" Yeah, and I'm like, "Huh? Like, this is what I do during a show."
yeah.
You know, I have my songs. I'm like, okay, at Likes, that's when I go on because that's his last song or whatever. Yeah, but like, yeah, I mean, Doug and all those other tour managers, during shows, they would be in the office working because that's quiet time. It's a ghost town backstage during the show.
Yeah, because everybody's
that's
trying to get around there.
The best time, yeah. And it was really interesting though, because now everyone kind of has that respect. Like I've gained certain promoters' respects and stuff, but at first they were really like, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm the one you're settling with tonight," and they're just like, "Oh my gosh," or they literally like would walk by me and go up to Barnes or something. And Barnes would be like, "No, that's the person you got to settle with tonight."
Oh, no, that's for real. That's something I actually wanted to talk about. Like, you know, like just being like a young woman who's like pretty much like the head, and like you're gonna have to deal with all these old men. Like, like what's that like? You get me? Cause I know a couple of people gonna be listening. Might be like girls or just even young people. Like, and they're gonna be like, "Yo, this young girl is Chronixx's tour manager." Like, what's it like? Cause I know like there's many mind games when you're on tour with everybody's trying to play mind games with you, and especially like, you know, being a woman, I'm sure they're trying to play like double the mind games.
Well,
that's like, yeah.
I've kind of always had, I think, thick skin and street smarts just by the way I was raised. But then, you know, once I started working in music, I really paid attention to the little, I don't want to say under the table, but the little poker face style stuff that people like Doug and other people would do during settlement, and things like ways to get those extra 5 passes that you need. And you're doing it with respect and kindness. You're not saying, "Hey, like, you know, give me 10 passes." Like, and I would see, and I still see those tour managers yelling and screaming at people, and they don't get anything, or they get talked about behind their backs. And, I've seen people cry. I've seen production girls at venues cry because of the way. I remember I saw a runner for one of these tour managers that I didn't like working with crying in their car one day. I was walking to the bus out of the venue and I saw them crying because they were just so mistreated. And I was like, okay, I can't do that. Like, I gotta be chill. And then when I started working with Chronixx, I'm like, okay, this is a whole nother culture I'm in. I thought I understood, because working with Miss Hill, I kind of was in and out of, I do reggae festivals, I do certain things, but it was at another level too.
Yeah.
And I had to be respectful of the culture, of their spirituality. I was touring with John 9, and I had to be open to her, just her way of touring and things like, not saying that's super intense, but just,
you're just unfamiliar, it's new things.
Yeah, understanding like, okay, the importance of things she's asking for on her rider, and I'm not like, oh, she doesn't need that, like whatever. She doesn't need raw ginger, like whatever.
She needs the raw ginger.
It's like raw ginger. We'll get like a bucket.
Yo, that's a major key.
I'll just get her ginger tea. I'll just get her ginger tea bags. It's fine. It's fine. No. Yeah.
John 9 brings certain things.
Let me tell you something. John 9 healed me from a flu in 3 days.
Talk about it. Was it the raw ginger?
It was some type of tea, raw ginger, something, oregano oil that that is my G, because she like, I'd be in the production office, like, I think it was just her annoyed with me coughing those days. But it was this time period on that tour that we all, like, Chronixx, everybody got sick on our bus. One person gets sick on a bus, everyone gets sick. Ooh. And she was traveling on a different bus, and she was hearing me one day, and she's like, here, and she just dropped some oregano oil and all this stuff in a little cup, and she's like, drink this twice a day. I'm going to bring it to you every day at sound check, and then in the evening, drink it all. And I was like, it burns. No, I don't want to. And like, I woke up one day, I'm like, oh my gosh,
I'm
like
curious.
I'm healed.
Tell her about it, Sashana. Sashana is from St. Thomas where they practice obia, so she knows about all of them stuff.
What was in it?
I'm not saying she's an obia woman.
First of all, there's nothing wrong with obia.
They was
clear
like,
that.
Diane, read him.
So
when did I say something was wrong? I said Sash would know.
I want to know
Babylon.
what was in the tea, more than likely.
It was like cayenne
No,
and
no,
oregano.
it's that Alex, this is for Sashanya to prove her St.
Alex,
Thomasness.
please continue, darling.
Sashana is not revealing the spells.
Right?
Anyways, yeah. That tour is very healing.
Right.
So like, I like how you mentioned, like you're saying it's just like a totally
way
different
different.
world. Like you're talking about like culture, but like just, you know, touring with like American artists and stuff like that. Like you've been doing like older artists and younger artists who are like really like buzzing, like Chloe and Halle and all of them there. And like you're working with Chronixx, who's like a super buzzing Jamaican artist and stuff.
But
like,
he's buzzing in other worlds too. Like,
yeah,
you know,
of course. We ain't downplaying the boss.
Never that.
But what's funny is every artist I've worked with after working with Chronixx, so like they might see it on my resume when they're hiring me, or they might hear about it, or I might be wearing like a piece of merch when I'm working with that artist, a different artist. They all geek out
Yes.
over Chronixx. Like
Yeah.
they all are
Top
like,
rank.
I love
I think
him.
it's just kind of like the
natural.
nature of the music.
Invite him to the show. I want to
Because-
meet him. Like,
And I
yeah.
think
I
also
think,
because
like-
he comes off as such a recluse person, but his music is so captivating. Like you can't help but to be like caught
Kinda.
up.
Yeah, it's kind of nostalgic.
But what more? Yeah, but what I was more going to say is like the thing with Chronixx is like his numbers, for lack of a better word, would like they wouldn't reflect him being a big artist because more like the nature of reggae. Like it can be a big, like he's the biggest reggae artist right now, but his numbers aren't obviously like a pop artist numbers because.
Right. But he has the
just the way
potential.
that-
I tell him all the time that you can easily be on that Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah, I definitely
you know,
think so as
chart.
well.
Yes,
Definitely think
I
so as
think
well.
so. 100%.
All right. People do numbers. People do whatever, right? Like you do numbers, you do this and that. But there's a different draw with Rastafari because it's not a regular music, right? It's an indigenous music.
It's a whole way of
soul
life.
music, right?
Yeah.
So it's not pop music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's what makes it different still.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what will always make it different. And I think a lot of people overlook that because they say, oh, yeah, some reggae artists and they're on this and that. And they only did 300 records or 1,000 records, 6,000 records. And they got on Billboard with that, right?
Yeah.
Like charts with low numbers where they should have higher numbers. You
And
feel
he's
me?
just real. He's not, pretentious
No.
and all of that stuff.
And
so,
I think
yeah.
you kind of said artists. I think artists really kind of resonate with that.
Yeah.
Like, they can kind of listen to that and kind of feel that.
True. Yeah,
Real
it
is
is.
kind of like
I know it's
mad
real.
cliche.
I know, but this is more real.
I think that's why I'm most interested right now in working with new artists. That's what I've kind of, it's kind of flipped for me. Most people start with a new artist and then get bigger and work with bigger and bigger artists, or those new artists grow. And I started with older legendary artists, and now I kind of, now I kind of take that and use all those things I learned from those people. And, like I take what I learned from Alanis Morissette and Santana and kind of share that with Chloe and Halle and Chronixx and all those people. Yeah.
I actually think that's great because
Yeah.
I think not a lot of young people had the opportunity.
Yeah. And it also, what's special is not every young person can have the respect from those older artists.
True.
That to listen to
You're
I'd
probably
be
the
like,
last out the gate.
I'd
So
be
we
like,
done now.
telling Miss Hill what time she needs to be down for lobby call, and like that's kind of intimidating though to say that, to send that text or that email saying like, hey,
Hurry up.
see you at 6 a.m. but it's 4 a.m. so it's like,
Yeah.
and
6 a.m. -ish.
it was like it was really cool though.
Yeah.
Like looking back, it was really cool to see that
Yeah.
she respected me and
That's
still
lovely.
does. We work really well together.
I'm sure
now.
that gave you like a confidence. I'm sure like
100%.
like working like you started at hard mode.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Yeah.
no man
So,
can't
like,
get in a chat. It's like,
no, for real,
like
if I
not
was
the
just
hype
like-
thing, but
It's just like, all right, I'm gonna talk to some Jamaican artists.
I always remember we went laser tagging and Miss Hill was like, invite all of Chronixx's crew and team to come. And we went laser tagging.
so it's like pick a
And
side.
it was, and that was the moment though. I was like,
all right, we're gonna see.
I know what you're doing. And she was like, with her armor and everything, like, whose team are you gonna be on? Like, you gonna be on Team Jamaica or are you gonna be on my team? Like,
Okay,
remember?
hold on. So you chose Jamaica, right?
No,
Oh my
No,
Miss Hill just
shout to go with the origin story.
Auntie.
Shout to go with the origin
Auntie
story.
Hill.
The laser tag.
Yeah, who won?
Team Jamaica.
Yo, big up Lauryn Hill still.
Man, there's some peer Chronixx already. Peer are chatting.
Man, it was like, oh my gosh, they still talk about it today. Those guys still rub it in my face every chance they get. Like it was, yeah. Miss Hill ended up renting out the laser tag building, like the arcade
the whole
building,
thing, yeah.
the next day after the show. She was on stage doing a show and her tour manager comes up to me and is like, you guys need to stay later in town because she just rented out the thing. She wants a rematch. And I'm like, it's like 3 a.m. Like,
Okay, I
we're
guess.
tired. And the guys,
Rematch Jamaica tonight.
Okay, so who won the rematch?
we didn't go. All of Zinc Fence was asleep in their rooms.
rematch
Like,
did
they
not
couldn't.
One shot, done shot.
I feel
Yeah.
like
And I
that
got
was like
punked.
mind games.
Everyone was just punking me. Like, come on, Rivas, where you at? Where you at? Wake your guys up. I'm like, oh
No.
my gosh. But yeah, like doing things like that was a really full circle moment because that doesn't happen with every opener on her tour. So it was kind of, it was very natural and it was
Should have
really
felt like
cool.
you were doing something right.
Yeah,
like
it was
when that
cool
happened.
because
Yeah.
I was honestly nervous, like low key nervous, like. And if any of those people hear this, they're gonna laugh because I've never said this out loud. But I was kind of nervous doing the tour because I'm like, she's gonna see me cater to him, and or vice versa. So how do I balance it where I'm not? So I would kind of not go in her presence when Chronixx was on site doing his sound check earlier in the day or after her and stuff. And then he'd go back to the, you don't stay always for the headliner's performance all the time as an opener. So he'd sometimes go to the hotel and then I would stay back and kind of help where I could on site. But yeah, it was a
balancing
trip.
act.
It was a trip, like
Yeah,
trying
that
to
sounds
just
crazy.
kind of like, okay, let me help her tour manager. But I would set up my office in Chronixx's room because he'd be there longer throughout
Yeah.
the day. But like her guitarist would come in my room to talk to me about something,
Yeah.
payroll something, and then it was like, it was interesting.
Yeah,
it was
that's
very
important.
interesting.
Like for all listeners and viewers, like I want you to like really listen to like what Alex is saying in terms of like when you're working for people, like it's not always just things are not always gonna be painted like super straightforward. There's a lot of times where you have to like really read between the lines.
Surprise!
Find the balance. And like sometimes I feel like people from my generation don't always get that. Like we kind of look on things kind of too black and white sometimes, and that's
Yeah. You got it. It's called finesse.
Yeah, and-
like
and
you got to
like-
finesse.
reading between. Yeah,
For all the order.
yeah.
Ah.
You get me? So you have to have that level of perception to be able to read between those lines because people are not gonna read those lines for you. Like she's not gonna say that to you.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be like, I know this about X person, I know this about Y person, so I have to kind of move accordingly. And like a lot of just the whole business, not even just music, just entertainment is like life
No,
too.
life for real.
Yeah.
You have to like be able to read between those lines, and like people who don't pick up on those lines, sometimes you wonder why they don't get the
Yeah.
call back Why?
Yeah, I think you just gotta like. I would if I didn't communicate at all, because sometimes there was a day that I wouldn't communicate with Miss Hill at all during that day, or I wouldn't see her in passing down the hallway or go in her room and say hey. I would at least text her and be like, "You good? Like, great show tonight." Or not super kiss assy, but just hey, like.
Yo, I
just
care.
know that I was there still. I was at front of house and you didn't see me or whatever. Or I didn't come around the room. Yeah, you had too many guests. I didn't want to go in the room today or whatever.
Yeah, you're showing up.
But and that's important too. That's something that is my number one rule with any artist is having an after show talk with them, whether it's a 20-minute conversation in the dressing room or we're texting about it when we're both flying back home the next day, or we go to I go to their hotel room and we have a little meeting or powwow or whatever. So I just worked with LMA this past spring and summer.
Nice.
And that was my thing where she was like, what do you require? What do you need from me? And I was like, all I need is communication and I'm good. Yeah. Just tell me if something's super messed up, tell me. It's not me getting mad. I just need to know to do my job and delegate to the certain departments.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was good.
So those after show talks are was everything good? Is there anything you didn't like that happened?
Yeah, and it's not always positive. There's sometimes it'll be like, did you know the keyboard was out of tune? I couldn't hear shit. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Or, oh, okay. Let me go talk to this person. Or it's me on the radio, so-and-so, can you come in here real quick?
We
gotta talk to you.
Yeah, word.
And even if it's a lighting conversation, I still like to be there because I sometimes have to do production management. And, I'm someone that I'm a female that understands production and stuff, the technical aspects. So I can kind of
considering you've been here and you've been in Jamaican culture for so long, and you work with Chronixx. I'd love to know you've seen so many artists, LMA, Jenny, Aiko, Chloe, Halle, Chronixx, Lauryn, all of them. I'd love to know your opinion, how does Jamaica as a country stack up in terms of shows, productions, and artists, in your opinion?
It's a whole nother 10 episodes.
Give us 10 episodes in 5 minutes.
Give us Spark Notes.
Cliff notes. I mean, this is how I feel. I just said this to somebody. It might have been Travis. I might have said this to the other day.
But Travis,
I think that there is no reason why Jamaica should not be up there with New York, LA, Nashville, Miami, Dallas as London as the top
for the people in the back.
as the top hubs of the music industry.
Yes,
for real.
Yes.
And I don't, all the Live Nations and Golden Voices and AEG. I mean, a lot of those people that work at those companies, all of these agents and stuff, I'm fortunate enough to have as really good friends, just out friends that I hang out with. And they ask me oh, they see me oh, you're in Jamaica. How is it and stuff? And I constantly am bragging to them about Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them you guys need to figure something out and go out there and do something, but in a way where you're not coming, taking, and then not, and people, I don't want to say, but people, I think we all kind of know who comes into this country, shoots something, dips out, and never does anything.
And probably leave a girl with the man them in the video.
That's why it was important to me. This past year, I started a musician residency where I'm starting to bring musicians and industry people from my other worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I just this past spring I just brought Spanky McCurdy, who not only played with Miss L, he played with Jill Scott, P. Diddy, Gaga, all these people, and we did. And these guys were there. Leah helped me. He stayed at Leah's house, and these guys all attended and stuff. And we did a master class at Edna, and he worked every day for a week with Alpha and all, and
Big up Alpha Boy.
and just.
Big up
Nice.
the Alpha brand.
And Chronixx was my partner on it. And Miss Hill donated a scholarship to Alpha. So yeah.
Question,
Like that, eh?
just so people listening, if they want like more info on that, is there like a website, an IG, anything like
Yeah,
that?
I mean, there's not
Is it
really
like
an IG. They
low-key
can
vibes?
just go on like the Alpha Boys School IG.
Okay.
And there's a Gleaner article on the whole thing that they can look up, and I think something Billboard might be coming out soon on that too. They just did some fest, yeah,
Little artist down there.
Yeah, Alpha is like one of the things that I feel like we talk about it a lot, but I think we need to talk about it more.
I just think that the production though, like that's something that was important. Like me doing the residency, I really paid attention to, I curated it with who was involved and who came to the jam sessions and stuff. But I was really like keen on like doing a smooth week of events and not having it not start on time or all this stuff. Like, no, Spanky and I come from the world of day sheets and if you're not on time, you get money taken off your check. Like, or you get fired. So like doing 12-hour rehearsals or crazy stuff like that. So I was like, we kind of have to show them, like.
So like people who you had to work with on the ground too, because you're doing this in Jamaica now.
Yeah.
How is like,
Oh my God, dog.
like,
Hashtag patience.
Yo, I think culture is so interesting.
yeah,
bro.
like
honestly.
Alex is cool, but I've been like watching Alex like long before Alex. I'm like, yo, that girl, she mean business. Like
Yeah.
I seen her, and she's a no nonsense character. You know?
Were you in London with us?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
in London,
What
like,
happened in London?
in London.
What happened in London?
I think we can talk about it because we're like super cool.
Can we talk about London?
I'll tell you from her now.
I had sweats on for a week. And I had a top bun and I was running all over that venue.
And this was Chronology Tour?
No. This was the
It's London
Protege and London Chronixx show. Yeah.
So Yannick, what happened?
280 guests on the guest list.
Proto was running a little bit over time.
Wait.
200 and how many on the guest list?
80.
280 guests and said, don't know the thing go. Yo, I need a plus 10.
But she's a pro at that. She's a pro at that.
For the massive in London, eh?
At the end of the night,
top boy.
she still has passes, right?
I still had like 8 passes left.
Okay.
No. So Yannick,
And I'm not telling my secrets because the
Yannick, so
promoters
what-
will never give me passes again.
So what happened, Yannick? It sounded like it's all like
No,
Monster Alex, bro.
No monster, but she mean like a Jamaican people. Yo, warm to the girl, man. Like like we're running over time a little bit,
Yeah.
and she just said she's a very timely person, so she's side stage.
Plug out the
and
song.
she's giving the eye.
Proto,
She's like,
like-
yo, you gotta wrap this up. I'm like, Diggy's like,
To get pro to the
Yeah.
government.
she's
Government
like-
name.
But see,
Excuse me, sir.
But here's the thing though, like we're still cool. I just saw him like 2 days ago. Like
Yeah.
he respects
Yeah,
me
business
going
is
like
business.
this on the side of the
Game is a
stage.
game.
I know it's not like a this thing. Like no, it's just like.
Yeah, but I think like in those venues you have like strict cutoff times
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
yeah, and also
Chronixx
it-
has his own set he needs to
Yeah, and
go
also
through,
it's
and-
just I want everyone to be able to do their full show.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
And it's also it's pressure. It's no like it's pressure.
Yeah.
I'm getting. I have Chronixx wanting the show at a certain level to be ran.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that's something that I think speaks about where he's at in his career, and also Proto, because Proto's someone that's very just research savvy and discipline savvy about having his team act a certain, work a certain way.
Yeah.
And Jamar's like that too. He wants his show produced at the highest level.
World
You know,
class.
whether it's a DIY situation, it's a jam session or something, or it's a London, like we have 3 screens and 10,000 people in the venue.
Wants to
And
be at a certain
yeah, but
standard.
also my thing too is that's not the highest level that him and
can
Proto can accomplish.
Coachella.
Yeah.
Tell Proto.
Not even that though. Like,
You know
what
what I
about
mean?
a state?
World tour.
What about? Okay, we did 10,000, but what about a stadium tour?
Yeah, we're-
like or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I kind of want to loop back though. In terms of what Yannick asked about Jamaica. said you feel like we should be at a
Patient.
certain, like, in the conversation with certain other.
Yeah, well,
Legendary spaces.
Jamaica is such a hub. It's what is it called? The music country or something?
capital.
The
Oh,
world.
Kingston?
Music
Yeah,
capital of the
yeah.
Caribbean, for sure.
And
So
I think beyond music too.
Producer Travis.
I think in all realms of creativity, though, you know,
Yes,
So 100%.
like for the residency, I didn't want to fly any creative people here. I used Nikki
local
Kane
people.
and I used
Big up Nikki.
big up
Peru.
Big up Nikki Kane.
and Peru.
VC.
I'm Puro, bad photographer.
And
there.
like one of the best. And I was very like, no, we're gonna use local people because
Right.
I think some of them are better than some of the other ones
So,
in the States or whatever.
Why Jamaica? Like, obviously you've been to a couple places.
Great question.
Like, why did you choose to do this in Jamaica?
I think just because of like how much it's in my musical life.
Yeah.
And also because like in my personal life and just like it, you know, sitting on a bus for 10 hours talking with, you know, Zinc Fence or whatever.
Yeah.
And they, you know, or they come to LA and I host them kind of in LA for this convention, this music convention called NAM. And they meet all of my friends and stuff,
Like,
my
you're
musical
like,
friends.
oh,
Yeah, but
like
no,
the
just
biggest thing.
seeing them, I'm like, okay, look, wow, they did so good at this convention networking with all these people. So if I brought at least one of these people to Jamaica, I could really make a difference with. Oh, maybe Spanky. I remember something Spanky said one day, saying he was getting the numbers. He would get like after he talked to a young drummer or something, he'd ask for their info, like, oh, let me follow you, or oh, what's your number, man? And I remember he's like, yeah, some of these drummers I could be using for my fill-ins on gigs I can't do. But what's important is teaching that drummer how to, or that tour manager, because I want to, you know, I sometimes use people out here now and stuff. And like, they need to be able to work with a Chloe and Halle and not put a phone in their face, or they need to learn how to, okay, this artist isn't like a reggae or dancehall artist. They're super on time. Sometimes Chloe and Halle beat me to the lobby call.
Nice.
So, and I'm the
And
one
they must
setting the lobby
start.
call. Yeah. But also Chronixx is like that too.
Yeah.
Like he'll be the first one down sometimes.
So, really, well, let me.
It's
not just
personal.
professional, it's also
Still
personal.
Get Sunday dinner in LA. Still get Sunday. Big up her. Still get Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
Peas and rice.
Go peas.
Yeah, so,
Curry chunks. Alright, I'm gonna go.
all right, so what I'm kind of getting from what you just said is that, there's definitely talent here. Like, there's no question.
It's
about
just
that.
all the other
Professionalism and
departments.
kind of like,
Yeah.
The
Getting-
overall ecosystem needs
I
to be
feel like,
developed. Yeah.
like I think like being in Jamaica, the industry itself kind of broke bad. Like you got the opportunity to intern with people that are very professional.
They
and
gotta
all your ways
respect.
to be
They gotta respect the
professional.
rules. Like if I
but
say
what I'm saying-
no one on stage,
Yeah.
if we're in London,
Yeah.
and we're doing a show and I say no one on stage, there'll be minimal people on stage. But if I say no one on stage here, it's like
Still ram.
Yeah, but what's
I
up-
need security and backup and all this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
No,
can-
fuck.
yeah, but what I was
Yeah.
really saying is that you got the teachings from somewhere that's seasoned abroad, right? I probably find that, well, Travis and Yannick can correct me, but maybe even the people that would be like teaching it in Jamaica because of how it's set up, as I said, them kind of broke bad. So
Yeah.
they'll be like the top of the game, but they're still not necessarily professional.
Yeah, I mean,
So even like the people that are teaching it the wrong.
there's been a lot of people that have come to shows that I've worked, and you have to J-Lo all these people, and you have to like just, okay, hi, right this way. Okay, cool. You guys need it, you know, and I'll be like, you need anything? Want a water? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool.
Artists, man, they don't want all of that.
Hype.
Like, people
It's a lot of psychology in it. You
I
gotta
mean,
just
that's-
treat them like
I think
humans.
that's kind of something we spoke about like at the beginning with like when you're working with Lauryn Hill and it's like you don't want to be like all in her face.
Fangirling.
Artists are like over that, fam.
I see them as human beings. I see them in their living room. I see them with their sweats on.
It's just a random woman who sings some shot song.
We're living
People
together.
who value their
Like,
personal space.
Yeah, like, she's just a
we're
woman
living
that sings
together.
some sick song.
yeah.
Yeah. So, we're having a great conversation. I wish we could have keep it longer, but we just want to have our last question, which I think is really important. I don't know if you can speak about this because we spoke about this off air, but I thought it was really interesting that this same program that you're doing, you want to do the inverse. Where you bring like local acts overseas.
Yes,
Nice.
for
Just want
sure.
like to make like a closing point. Like, what's the value seeing that of like bringing people from Jamaica?
Job opportunities.
Yeah. So you think there's like a viable thing for like Jamaican artists to be like how a drummer, like a most experienced drummer.
I mean, like how I'm not Jamaican and I'm working with Jamaican artists. I think I would be. I don't know. Other people would have to maybe speak on this for me, but I think I'm kind of categorized as like my main focus is R&B artists that I work with, R&B female artists that I work with, and working with Chronixx is kind of the first genre a little outside of that, even though I believe reggae falls into that category, but I think how I'm working in a different culture, like that someone from here can be a tour manager for a pop act, or like I tell you all the time too, like Yannick, you can be shooting an Ariana Grande. You could be shooting like you could be working with Adele, like and
Proto BRB though.
Or you might be too busy.
It's like,
but yeah, I mean,
let's
like,
make it happen.
no disrespect to Proto.
No,
but you could be,
business, bro.
like when he's off, you could be going off with Adele or John Mayer or someone totally
So
different.
basically, like,
That's all it is, though. It's job opportunity, and I eventually my dream would be to go into like Latin markets and other markets too. But it's just that Jamaica is the first like internationally heavy
that's
area
really dope.
that I work in.
really dope because
But
I
yeah.
definitely get what you're saying in that if you grew up in Jamaica, sometimes you feel like Jamaica is really the beginning and the end. Like if you're a drummer, you have to play for a big reggae band. You never say, oh well, every band that plays music with drums needs a
Some
drummer.
of the best musicians I've ever seen in my life are here. And like when we did that jam session, I have the full recording of the jam session, and I could send it to you guys. And like some of the best singers came to that thing, and they're just from Edna Manley. Edna Manley is a legendary school, but like not the average person in music world knows about Edna Manley.
Man,
So, yeah.
stop undervaluing yourself for that. Like I really feel like,
But you got to put your head down
What you
and
say
work.
is
You
really-
got to roll up your sleeves, like.
and be professional. I guess,
Yeah,
would
and
also be a major
people
thing.
don't it's still funny because I work Chronixx shows in some of the most like Seychelles, or we just did a show in Belize, and people are it's funny to me because I've come from arena world or really serious tour work, and I go to these shows that are sometimes the Belize show, Chronixx, they told me was the biggest production they had. And it was like they were so confused as to why. They were kind of,
Right.
and they'll laugh sometimes, not in like a mean way, but they're just like
All of this-
surprised or confused
Yeah.
that like I'm telling them like, okay, so no one can be on stage tonight for the show except all of us. Or I'll surprise them and say like, okay, yeah, you have your wristbands, but we have these passes too. And these are the only ones that get you on stage. And I'm there like kicking people off, and not in a mean way. I'm just like, hey, you can't
Yeah.
be here right now.
Rules
like,
are rules.
or I'll have my stage
Professionalism,
manager,
bro.
and they're.
Things Jamaicans
But
don't
at the
want
end of
to
the
do.
show, they're like, oh wow, that was a really smooth show. That was a really well done show.
But yo,
Tune in next.
That was a great episode.
It was so great.
We're trying to keep these things under 2 hours because people are gonna cuss when them say the long hour. But it was a great conversation,
Yo,
and
yeah,
I'm
fam.
hoping
Alex.
Did I
that
do okay? Did I
everybody.
do okay?
Huh? You did great. You did. Everybody clap for Alex. Too. I would be like, yo, where can people find it? But Alex's profile is locked.
Yo, what you mean? Yo, you know here, Alex says show go on. Me in the back room.
Yes.
They
Alex
were
say,
all like, all right, can I get a name and her ads? I just gave them
Yo.
the ad because I know that
Alex.
like, the profile locked. I was just
Alex,
like,
Alex, you're about that bag. The bag. We don't want the what the opposite of the bag. No. We don't want like
The tag.
We don't want
It's
the
bag.
You know the penny. You know the penny.
tag.
You
No
know
tag me in the story. Bag me in the story.
Tag over tag.
But for real, you know, we're glad that you could come through.
Of
you two,
course,
Leah.
of course.
So,
I had to bring Leah.
yeah, I'm so glad you guys could come
Leah
and
is a
share
G.
knowledge and stories. And like, I'm really
facts.
hoping people can listen.
You
and,
gotta
like,
record our
someone-
game night. You gotta record our game night.
True.
As the whole world.
True.
All right, you have roots, right?
Yeah. Producer Travis. Producer Travis is our in-house.
You have leads.
Is our in-house Rasta fact checker. So I just do everything.
Man. After this,
This episode
yeah,
will have
behind the
fact
scenes.
checks at the
We'll
end
have
of it.
fact checks at the end. But yeah, guys, just to get all the handles out, you don't know, it's veryculture.com/the late night par. And you know, we're on Twitter at late night par. We're on Instagram at the late night par. And we're on Spotify now, of course. And we're on Spotify. We're on YouTube.
Load up the VPN.
Yeah, load up the VPN. We're on YouTube. Hope you're on YouTube right now. And you know, this is our special, what we call one par. So till we have our next one par, you never know what order this is gonna come in. So just watch it and enjoy it. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, and you don't know that it's the late night par. Tell them can go.
Late nights.
Never shake, right?
For the girl them always.
Shape. Yo, send that one to Jamar. All right, yeah.